welcome to That's What We Think with Connie and Steve.
Hi, Connie.
Hello, Steve. How are you?
Pretty good, all things considered. It's been rather cold and snowy, but it's still beautiful out there, I have to
It
say.
is. It is
It's
actually, it was sunny at one point today, the clouds coming in, but we have snow.
I know. Like I haven't seen this much in ages.
No,
It's
no,
kind of
I'm like
nice.
shocking. Yeah.
I like
I
it.
kind of like it too. Although as a mother of young drivers,
Yeah.
I get very anxious. And the
Yeah.
other day, Evelyn is driving home from school with Abby in the car, and they were both like, "The car didn't stop, Mom. It was like shaking." And I said, "You keep your foot on the brake. The ABS will kick in, and it'll do its thing." And they're like, "We didn't know what to do." And I was like, "Okay, you're fine, right?" And they're like, "Yes." And I'm like, "Then don't worry about it."
Wow. They
Yeah.
have the car has snow tires on it though, doesn't it?
No, why
Oh, it
wouldn't it have
doesn't.
snow
Okay.
tires?
Oh, well, I don't know. I thought you
Yeah.
should have that. You should have snow tires. You really should.
All season should be
Those things
all
don't work.
season. I
They don't
know.
work. They don't work at all. I
I know.
mean,
I should get snow tires on it, but
yeah. I mean,
but
that
there's
would
usually no snow here.
it's been different this year has been interesting. And I know that everyone's thinking, well, see, climate change isn't happening. Yes, it's still very much happening.
Still
But we are
happening.
really getting what we used to get back when we were kids. Yesterday was the fluffy stuff, which is awesome. It's
I
like in
know.
skiing weather, and it's beautiful to look at. But again, I know I probably am a minority out there in many ways, but more of a minority in regards to what people think about snow. However, that's just my opinion. That's just what I think. That's the name of our show.
Yeah. Wait until you hear our hot take episode. You might get a different thing from me.
We were earlier just discussing therapy and the importance of for some people to have it, because I know sometimes I have relied on it for the last couple of years to kind of see me through those rough spots and good spots. Just it's just nice to have somebody to talk to when you may have a problem or something's going on in your life. However, some people choose to take care of themselves
Yes,
through.
with self-help
Yep. Yep.
and the self-help industry, which is a huge money-making industry.
Because there are so many voices out there, like and some of them I find
There
can be a little
are.
bit dangerous if you're not careful. However, I also know that a lot of people do rely on these voices or whomever is writing stuff out there, and they rely on what they have to say to help them through. But how do you find somebody?
It's hard, I think, because
Yeah, like
it is a very noisy landscape,
yeah,
right? There's
yeah,
so many different voices, so many people saying so many different things, and it makes you have to parse out what's going to work for you and what resonates with you. I mean, you have your Gabby Bernstein, your Glennon Doyle, your Mel Robbins, Esther Hicks, Huberman, Deepak Chopra, David Goggins, Jay Shetty, Brene Brown, Rachel Hollis, so many. And like there's so many more
yeah.
that you have as these self-help gurus. They're all saying pretty much the same thing, just in a different way. Right now, Mel Robbins has a new book out called Let Them,
Okay.
and it's going gangbusters. Everyone's talking about it. I see it on my Facebook feed. Everyone going, "Oh my God, you have to read this book. You have to read this book." And unfortunately,
What?
she's taken somebody else's philosophy, literally word for word as let them, and used it as her own.
Give me an example of her work. Like what is she? Not to give her more publicity than she deserves if she's guilty of plagiarizing. However, like where did they ever indicate where she took the sayings from and applied it to her own method?
So, Casey Phillips is a writer who crafted a poem around the concept that Robbins is using.
Okay.
Let them,
Okay.
meaning somebody wants to do something to you, let them. Somebody says something to you, let them. Somebody's talking about you, let them. Whatever it is, let them, let it go, which is a
Which
great
is fine.
concept. It's
Right.
it's it's perfect. However, she didn't give any credit to Casey Phillips
Okay.
in any way, shape, or form.
Okay.
She's just used it as I came up with this.
How did she get caught?
She hasn't really gotten caught. There hasn't been a lot of people talking about it. There is a blog on idon'tblog.ca about it.
Okay.
And where this person, this blogger, is calling her out on it. And she has a podcast. Mel Robbins is great. I listen to her all the time. She has a great podcast. It's very self-affirming. It's a great reminder. A lot of the stuff is just, stuff
It's
but you
common
need that
sense.
little bit you need that bit of a reminder every so often to
Of
go,
course.
okay, yep, put myself back on track. And so that is the problem with the self-help industry, I find.
Wasn't there a book called, is it The Power of Now? Is that it?
Yes,
Yeah,
that's Eckhart Tolle.
that's right. And I remember that was a huge book a couple of years ago, actually. And I read it. And some of the things I did find were applicable to my life. The issue is that it can be forgotten. So,
Yes,
that's the one thing about it. It's not sinking in. It's more like oh, okay, that applies for the situation now as I read it. However, for me personally,
doesn't stay.
it doesn't stay. Whereas when you go to a professional, depending on who you go to and what their method are, for me, it's more a repetitive thing to kind of remind you and get
Right.
it in your head. And you have to do the work. And I
Yes.
think that actually applies for most of these self-help books anyways. You
Yes,
read
you
and you
have
have
to
to do
do
the work.
you have to do the work. You can't
Right.
just if you look at my
Yeah.
bookcase over here,
Yep.
there are a ton of self-help books behind me because it is something that I do read a lot of. I
Right.
do listen to a lot of. Um
Can I ask you though, like, what are you looking for, Con? Like, when you're getting these books, have you found that there's like, how long have you been reading a lot of these self-help books? Years, right?
Years.
Right. So do they all seem to have a common denominator within their books? Have you found that you may just be reading it a different way based on what they're writing, but basically it all comes down to this point or that point that you've seen time and time and time again? Is
Yes,
that
they
fair?
do.
Okay.
They do. It's very fair. They all have this, like you have to center yourself, you have to let go of all the outside stuff, focus on your breathing.
Mm,
They all have something, they're all good. The thing I find that you need to do in order for any of the self help books to work, you have to listen over and over again
yeah.
and do the actual stuff that
Exercises?
exercises that it's telling you. But what most of us end up doing is we read the book and go, oh, that's really good. Yeah, I'll get to that later, stick it back on our shelf,
Yeah.
and then forget about
Forget
it.
about
Or
it.
if you're listening to them on the podcast or you're listening to an audiobook, because with self help, I'll listen to an audiobook version of it.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, okay, I've got to remember to write that down or to go back to it. But I never do. So I'm not doing the work that I'm supposed to be doing,
Right.
you know?
It makes me smile because when we were discussing if we were going to do this episode, I remember the title I came up with was "Is Self Help Helping Self?" And I laugh each time because I do think that this is a multi-billion-dollar industry,
Yeah.
and you can make money if you latch onto something. I say more about The Secret. Now,
Yes.
The Secret was ripe for parody. SNL did a great thing with Julie Louis Dreyfus,
Yeah.
which is still funny to this day. Amy Poehler did it as well. And I still don't understand what The Secret is. I didn't read the book. I just thought at the time it was a bunch of malarkey. I'm still not sure if I still don't know if it's something that is really, because it's gone now. No one talks about The Secret. It's this
What
is
they do there. So
They
there
do.
is the secret, the greatest secret.
Is this Rhonda Byrne's books?
This is all of her books.
Of course.
So it just kind of builds upon each other because the secret is actually writing a really good self help book and putting it out there, and then you make money. And that is actually what the secret is. Because there's also, the wisdom, the hero. And
Is this the same woman that wrote
this is
these?
all the same woman, and the power.
For God's sake. See, this is the thing. I recognize the importance that it can bring something to people's lives. I am absolutely not poo-pooing that. I think that it really can have some relevance for people. Absolutely. I'm probably not one of those people. Now, with that said, I'm not against reading it just to see if it even matches similar to what the therapy sessions that I do. And most of the time, it's just they are quite separate. And I'm laughing just because I'm like, oh, maybe you're a little bit more crazy, Steve. But but um, but I do find that there's definitely an across the board sort of methodology that tends to work with some of these books and some of these writers and some of these people that are writing these books. And I also question with these books, there's a danger because who are you that's writing? What's your background? Are you psychologist? Are you psychiatrist? Or do you have a medical background? Do you have any sort of background in sociology? Do you know anything about
I
people?
think for most of them, I think that's a big no. I think they found something that worked for them,
Hmm.
that got them. So, I don't know what her educational background is, Gabrielle Bernstein,
Okay.
but she got herself help through therapy herself. She got herself help out of addiction, out of anorexia, out of a whole bunch of trauma. She was trauma bound to a whole bunch of different things. And she got herself out of that through therapy, from which she started talking about her past and her struggles and how she got herself out of it. And I think it just kind of snowballed into helping people. I'm making vision boards and teaching people about making vision boards and making their secret come true or their manifestations come true through these vision boards,
Right.
which a lot of people grab onto.
Of course. Well,
They
they
grab
also,
onto that because they want to manifest the boyfriend or the husband or the money
or
or
the
the
job, or
house or the
yeah.
job or all of this stuff, because we all desperately want these things, right? and
Well, two
and
things. One of the things that you brought up, which is really interesting, is that people want to manifest. It seems like it's more material things than it is things to literally help your brain cope with life in
yeah,
general. And
yeah,
I'm absolutely not poo pooing anybody that decides that this is what they want to do and this is how that will help them. And I think from a kind of a surfacey perspective, yes, it can definitely take care of those little nagging issues that are in your head that, oh, this person's bugging me. I got to figure out a way just to let it go. Whereas I have deep seated trauma because I was punched in the head or kicked in the head or something awful, really, really awful. Those self help books, I'm not sure would provide you with that sort of healing that you might need, right?
I think if you're looking at deep-seated trauma,
Yeah. Yes.
what you would use the self-help books would be in conjunction with actual
Actual
therapy.
therapy.
I think you need both.
Both.
I think because there are so many different therapists, one, you have to find one that works well with you,
Absolutely. That's
and that
big.
they come from all different
That's
angles
right.
and whatever, much like the self-help books as well. And the funny thing that I find with the self-help industry as a whole, because we read so much or listen to so much of it, or we're listening to the podcasts and everything, at what point, even therapy, even going to therapy, is there a point in time where you're now helped? Like, are you getting to a certain point where you're like, okay, now I've done the research, I've done the work, I'm helped? Or is it something that is an ongoing process, even with therapy?
Well, here's my answer to that is I wonder if it's also an aging thing because self-help at 20 compared to self-help at 50, you're very, very different stages in life.
Right.
Allegedly, at sadly my older age, at 53, there's an expectation that you should have much more awareness about life and the downfalls and pitfalls of dealing with people and scenarios, that sort of thing. You should have a much better head on your shoulders to know that this is the way life goes and you don't need these type of things in order to get you through. Whereas a 20-year-old who's at the beginning of their life and dealing with work and family and relationships and all those things may need that sort of guidance and everything else. I do wonder, Connie, if it is age specific when it comes to dealing with these type of self-help things in terms of what they can give you and what sort of support they can provide for you? Like,
I don't
is it
know. I
is
am nearly 54.
yeah.
I turned
I know, a
54
couple of
this month,
weeks. I
and
know, I know, I know, a couple of weeks.
and I still think I need them.
That's fair.
I
Me
don't. There
too.
are days where I'm like, I don't have a grasp on this,
Yeah.
you know, and whether it's going to therapy. So I think, so to answer my own question, I think we need to, much like therapy, where you can go and you can, you walk away from it, you go back to it. I think you have to go back to certain things as a reminder.
Like what?
So the let them theory that Mel Robbins is claiming to be hers, and it's not. Not that I want to poo poo on Mel Robbins. She's great. I love listening to her, but you
Her
know,
sources are suspect.
yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, just the fact that she didn't mention where she got it from
Yeah.
and claimed it as
I'm
her own.
sorry, but that matters. It does.
It does. It
Yeah.
does.
But that aside,
That
the
aside, that
general
whole, we get to a certain age and everyone is told that once you hit 50, you're like at a fuck it stage,
that's right.
right? Where everyone is like, oh, if this is going wrong in your life, fuck it. Who cares?
Yeah.
If,
Yeah.
but not always does that happen. Just because you're 50 doesn't mean that magically all of a sudden now you no longer care about what somebody is saying about you. You no longer care if you aren't invited to that party or gathering or whatever it is. Yeah, sure, you might be more comfortable just staying home and having your pajamas on and laying in front of the TV, but there is still that bit of
What if, what if,
why?
what if? Yeah, or why? Yeah.
Why didn't I get invited?
You know
Or
what? You're
why are
right.
they talking about me? Or why isn't my family involving me in there? Or
Mm,
why aren't the kids wanting to come over all the time if you're an empty nester? There's
yeah.
so many different whys,
Yeah.
right?
It's different
That,
type of whys though.
yeah,
So it's interesting. So, because I totally understand exactly where you're coming from. You're absolutely right that, you know, I remember even younger days when people would tell me, "Oh, when you get to 50, you just don't give a shit."
yeah. You'll
And
have it
I'm like,
all figured out by then.
and I think,
Really?
and I was so excited for that. I genuinely was. I'm 53, and I'm still trying to figure it out. There are moments, of course, where
Yeah.
I really genuinely do not give a crap about what scenario this or that, and it works out because it feels good to not get bogged down in
Right.
those type of things. And it can give me an example of what you think at our age group that we still kind of have those moments of self-doubt and question ourselves. I actually often think it's probably career based more than anything else, maybe family based, like you
I
said.
think it I think it could be so many
So
things. I
many
mean, it all
things.
depends on where you're coming from. If you're divorced and
Oh,
you're not in a relationship anymore,
right.
or you've because of the divorce, now it's almost as if you're starting all over because you've had to take whatever it is that you had as a couple and divide it into half.
Hmm.
Why don't I have the house that so and so used to have? Oh, I can tell you why, because my wife took it, blah blah blah. Like there's so many different reasons why somebody could be, you know,
Questioning
questioning where they are and why they aren't where everybody else is.
what or where everybody else thinks they are.
Right. Or where everyone is
You know.
pretending to be
Well,
or
that's exactly
showing
it.
that they are on. We as adults can get sucked into the Instagram as much as the kids are, right?
Absolutely.
We're
And
seeing the vacations, the nice clean house. Nobody's taking pictures of their dirty house.
no,
You take
no.
pictures of the clean section of your kitchen.
And you know what? You pointed out too, even with Instagram, with self help stuff, there is a shit ton of people
Oh
out
yeah.
there that are providing their quote unquote advice on how you deal with whatever situation is going on there, which I also believe is inherently dangerous too.
Yeah.
Because who the hell are you? I've never seen you
No.
before. And it's
No.
just anybody out there with a microphone and podcast like us, but we're
They're
not
not going to
we're
give
not
you
providing
self-help.
absolutely not.
We can
That's
barely help ourselves.
right. Like believe me, every day is work. But
that's
and
that's
that's
our
our
advice. Every day is work.
oh, so how they figured it
And
out, and that's the thing too. Like I won't lie and say that there are moments where I'm watching this and I'm thinking, well, How did you figure that out? Like, is it working for you? Is it really? Are you following what you say? I mean, where's the results? How do we know that what you're saying actually is working for you? You're telling us advice and you're giving out all this information that we are supposedly supposed to follow. But where's the example that, for example, that it's worked for you? I want to know. I need to know that extra bit.
Yeah. So Rachel Hollis, who wrote Girl Wash Your Face and a couple of other
What did
ones,
you say? What is it?
Girl Wash Your Face, like it's almost like a go wash your face and get yourself out there type of thing. She was
My
huge
God.
for quite a while
Okay.
in the self-help industry, almost like I have it all together and this is how I did it. This is how I'm getting everything together. And then there was a huge blow up in her personal life
Like, whoa, what happened?
and she got divorced.
Okay.
And
How
so
old is she?
I think she's mid 30s.
Oh,
I could be wrong. I don't know. But everyone was like, "You're telling us how to have the perfect relationship, how to have, all this stuff, and then you don't even have it."
right.
And I think that's what it is that this pretense of people telling you this is what you need in order to have perfection. If I have it, now I can preach it.
You know what? I say to that, my friend Brian has been waiting for me to have my harumph moments, which is the old man coming out sometimes. And I have to say, there are moments where I would say, I'm not going to take advice from a 30-year-old. I'm sorry, you're not where I'm at. And as much as I appreciate what you're doing for your own cohort, please don't. No, just no. I really want to know now for my age. I need to know and speak to and listen to people that are genuinely, generally around that age cohort.
Do you want to talk to people who are your age or older than you because they've been
Both
there? Yeah.
my age or older, because I got to tell you, the life experiences of a 30-year-old, they're not even or 20 or whatever it is. That's theirs. They're going to have that, and it's only for them. We've been through that.
Yeah.
We're that stage in our life,
Oh, yeah. We've been the
right?
30-year-old who thought we were wiser than our
Oh my
years.
God. Sometimes, when you're listening to them, I'm just staring, thinking, what the hell are you talking about?
Yeah.
You have no idea what's coming your way. But,
Wait.
right,
Wait until the hot flashes start getting to you.
or just in general, like all those things that you take for granted, just getting up without going on my back.
Yeah.
No, without, I'm sorry. But,
Yeah.
but in
Or
general,
even having the again, whether it's divorce or whether it can just be a
life
downturn in
experiences,
the economy, you
death,
could you could have had the house and had
all
the
of it,
everything and then all of a sudden lose all of
lose
that.
it.
It is
Oh
possible
my God, is it
at
ever? It's
our
totally
age to do
possible.
that.
That's right.
And you know, all the secret in the world is not going to help you at that point in time.
This, like, I know personally for me, after I lost my first partner to leukemia, I didn't turn to self-help books because I found that they were a lot of the ones that I had read, or at least glanced at, sorry, not read, glanced at, I found them to be difficult to swallow because it's an entirely different level of grief and understanding that they weren't providing. So I'm sure there probably were books that I might have benefited from, but after going through a couple of them, I thought, you know what, screw this, I don't need it. And in hindsight, I do believe that there can be some help. However, you do have to go through a shit ton of weedy books in order to find it. And how do you find someone that's going to speak to you in a way that's going to be beneficial, right?
It's like
It's
finding the therapist that's going to work for you. You have to just kind of look and it's trial and error, right?
Yeah. Oh
So
yeah.
did you go to therapy after
I
Robbie?
did. I did. I actually did really like this therapist. But my current one, I absolutely love. She has been a guiding light in what has been constant upheaval. And I think I will just say, for me, maybe self help may not be for me. Getting that person that actually has all that background and incredible knowledge to help you through a difficult time matters. It mattered to me because it's like you're not talking out of your ass.
Right.
You are
And isn't
absolutely on top of everything.
Yeah.
that you can
But
think
isn't
of.
that self-help?
What, to go and
Going to
get the help?
therapy? Going to therapy, isn't that self-help? It's just not in a book form.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that that's a good form of self help. You're right. You're the one that's deciding. You're the self helping yourself
Yes.
without anybody outside saying that you need help. This is you
Yeah.
deciding that you need to
Yeah.
get help, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay,
I think
that's
that
a
we've
different thing.
seen a rise in self-help at the exact same time as we're seeing a decline in religious connections. So
Yeah,
there's a lot of people leaving their religious affiliations, and there's a lot of people turning to self-help. You can also say that the Bible or the Torah, the Zohar, the Talmud, all the different religious texts out there are self-help books because they're telling you how to live, right? Which is exactly essentially what a self-help book is doing.
is it dangerous to talk about religious therapy? I suppose is the word. Like, is it? I can't. I don't know. I don't have enough knowledge to get into.
In what way? How would it be dangerous? People go to their priests or their rabbis or their imams all the time for guidance, right? Which is what therapy is, which is what self help is.
I guess. Look, I'm Catholic, lapsed, and I used to believe that if you had a problem of some sort, that you could go to your priest to talk to them about it. But I quickly learned that that was, for me, a huge mistake because you came out of that feeling guilty and and terrible. And they're giving you advice. Well, read the Word of God. Well, no, no, I don't want to read the Word of God. I need something that's just a little bit more localized. I need help in that regard. But that is, again, that is just my
Your
personal
personal
experience.
experience.
There are plenty of people that do go to their religious leaders for help and get it. And to them, congratulations. If that worked for you, good. It didn't work for me, but if you can, good. Good for you.
But I think that's why there is such a rise in the self-help industry is because so many people are
Are
leaving their
looking,
religious
oh,
community and they're looking for
help.
something to cling on to,
Yeah, I
you
agree. I
know.
think we're all looking, aren't we all looking kind of for that in some
Yeah.
respects?
Yeah.
Something to hold
Yeah,
on
some
to.
kind of well, and I think with the decline of the religious community, we are losing that community.
Well, you said it right. Community. I think
Yeah.
you're losing that cohesive
Yeah.
ability to get through it because you have a group of people. That's another form of self help. The group
Yes,
um,
that group praying with each other, coming together with that common goal of whatever it might be,
help.
and just to guide through tumultuous times, whether it's the priest giving a sermon or a
Yeah.
rabbi talking about the situations that we're currently going through or
Right.
whatever. Because we have a lot of people, particularly in the Catholic Church, that have seen a huge decrease
Yeah.
in church attendance
Yes.
and people becoming Catholics, that people are turning towards something.
Which probably would
So,
explain the rise of the books more, or
right, right.
these
And
type of
then they
authors,
see
right?
their friends saying, "Oh my God, I read this book and it
Right.
changed my life. It made such a difference. It's helped me through this." So they all then gather to this book,
Yeah. Hoping
like
for the
a
same.
Bible,
Yeah. Yeah. That's fair.
hoping for that same thing.
Anchor.
Yeah.
I think just to yeah, I like the word
And
anchor.
I'm not a proponent for religion
No, no,
in
I know,
any way,
I know.
you know.
Yeah, I know. But this is the new religion.
Yeah.
I suspect that this is. I think that's a fair category to put this under. That
Well, it's almost
with
in that new age
there we go.
religion,
That's
right?
right.
So it's
Do you remember growing
which
up back in the day, Con, when in the bookstores when they would have New Age, and it always had this connotation of flowery, hippy dippy, just like totally out there readings. And I never read most of that stuff. I loved going to the bookstore, but that was one area that I would totally avoid because it was just,
Really?
yeah,
I
because I
loved
used to
it.
think that's not for me. I'm not. It hasn't. It won't speak to me.
Yeah,
So I'm just like, nah, never
I
mind.
loved it. The incense and the candles
Totally
and
different back
it's
then.
just like the
However,
tarot
right?
cards.
It was a category in itself, and it was not for everybody. Whereas now it has become accessible in a way that I don't think New Age authors back in the 70s and 80s would ever dream that it would ever get to this level. Maybe they hoped, or maybe they didn't, who knows? But now it has become, again, new religion. And in certain respects, for people, it takes over from what they may have got from organized religion into this. I just have such a mixed feeling about all this. I know it's beneficial for some, and to them, congratulations. Part of me often wants to go back to them and say, so, is it still affecting your life? Is this book still working for you in a positive way? Have you moved on to something else? I just want to know.
Mhm.
Is it
Yeah.
working, Con? Like, are there books that you may have read like years ago that you can
There are
still?
books that I have read a couple of times,
Okay.
um,
Just as a,
and that have like completely helped, I
right.
think, in that time
Fair.
while I was reading it.
Right.
It really helped.
Yeah.
Um,
Has anything stuck without you having to go back to it?
some of it. So
Okay.
bits and pieces of it has stuck. Okay. One book was called The Way,
Okay.
which is a religious book. It's a book about Kabbalah called The Way by Rav Berg. And that one was probably one of the most influential text.
Yeah. So
Um,
90s. It reminds me of Madonna.
yeah.
It's so 90s.
Yes, I was influenced by Madonna and
I know. Aren't we all?
yeah.
God.
The influence she's had in life. And it still stuck. I really still love that book.
Interesting.
I love what it had. I love the message it had.
What was the message? Is there an overall like message that Kabbalah was? Is it Kabbalah or Kabbalah? It's Kabbalah, right?
Kabbalah,
Okay,
or
yeah.
maybe it's Kabbalah.
Kabbalah. Kabbalah. Okay.
Kabbalah. Um, I guess depending on the accent that you have.
Fair enough. Yep. Yep.
The overall message is to treat everyone the way you. It's literally the message that I have raised my kids with. The only thing that I've told them that they had to do is treat other people the way you want to be treated.
Okay.
It's a very simple concept because we're all one. And if you treat each person, every single person, every animal, every being the way you want to be treated, it comes back to you, which I guess is the message from The Secret. I guess that's the message
Everything.
from all of those books, right? Including the Bible and the Torah and the Zohar and all of them. And I mean, Jesus's thing was always treat your neighbors like, you want to be treated, right?
That's right.
So that was the
That was the
biggest
message.
takeaway. That was the
Okay.
biggest takeaway from it, which is then
Kabbalah.
how I raised my kids. Is
It's
just
Kabbalah, by the way.
is it Kabbalah?
Kabbalah. Yeah. I just
Okay.
had to look it up because I want us to make sure that we are saying right. It's Kabbalah. But that message is universal.
Yes, it is a
And
universal message. And
absolutely.
did I need to read the book to know that message? I already knew that message. Um, I was born and raised for the first 17 years of my life as a Catholic, and then I quickly got rid of that
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
various reasons.
Fair.
And if you're still in that religion, good for you. If
Yeah.
it's working for you, good
That's
for
right.
you. It's
Yep.
just everybody has their journeys and their affiliations that they want to make. It's just not one that I want to be
Mhm.
affiliated with.
Even though with my own thoughts about self-help books, there's both positive and negative viewpoints about it. I will say in this day and age, because right now the world is increasingly messy. It's always been messy. We won't hide the fact that it hasn't been. It has always been a messy world, but it just feels like it's coming at us hard and heavy and so quickly now that turning to these type of things to help you manage what is increasingly a stressful and dangerous situation in our planet right now, there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
And I'm gonna I just like, even though these are my opinions and how I feel about it, I do think for the general public, if you want to seek it out, just try and find something that actually is not going to be that's going to provide some sort of benefit for you, and something that will at least help you deal with whatever it is that you have to do within your life. There's nothing. Go for it. Go do it. And do you believe in meditation?
I do believe in meditation.
Okay, I think it can help. I do
Yeah.
believe that
It just centers you.
calms your mind.
Yeah, it makes you, it, I don't know. I know I'm going to end up being woo woo here. And it could be the writer in me.
Yeah,
When I write, I feel as if the story is being told to me. And we'll go into writing one day on
yeah,
one of these podcasts
yeah.
and how it comes to me. But I feel like there's somebody telling me the story. So when I meditate, I'm connected to
That's fair.
that thing
Yeah,
that,
that
I don't
helps
know.
you
Yeah,
craft the story.
absolutely.
Is it also helping you just in terms of non-writing skills? Like, is it just, what about life? Like, just like, do you have those moments, meditation, where you can just be and not have to think about anything outside of just that?
I have.
And do you have books to help you get there? Self-help
The
books.
super attractor did
Okay.
help. She had very good ideas to center yourself and to get yourself into to be in a constant flow of attraction of what you want, right? And increasing your vibration, and the higher your vibration is, and the more positive your vibration is, the more positive that's going to come to you. So my big problem with a lot of that, the whole magnet analogy, is like attracts like.
Right.
And I'm pretty positive that a magnet is attracted to the opposite, is it
Yeah.
not?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought so. I thought it was a negative positive
And I
reaction.
was like, I've always been like, really? Because I don't know. It's been a long time since I did that magnet project in elementary school. And usually when you put the two magnets and it's the same side down, it pushes it away.
Exactly.
So
And
that's
that,
why my whole thing with all of that was like, a magnet.
yeah.
I don't want to be a magnet.
And then you ask them, and
I
they'll
mean, I
come
want
up
to be
with,
a magnet to bring things to me, but like is not attracting like.
right? Like, but then when you bring that up to the author or whoever it is that coined that phrase, they'll come up with this incredible explanation that still doesn't quite deal with the question of, so how is that helpful? But see, Connie, this is the whole point. The whole point is that, is self-help helping self? Is it helping you? Are these things really helping you? Or you can take these readings, and it doesn't necessarily have to be an across the board sort of situation. It just takes certain bits and apply it to what you can do with what you have without it overwhelming
Yeah.
you, period.
And
Right?
in the instance of a magnet, like attracting like, and when you equate it to religion,
Yeah.
you're not supposed to question, right? So, as a Catholic, you're raised to not question what your priest is saying, just take it at face value. Yes, wine turned into blood and everyone drank the blood, and a piece of bread wasn't
Yeah.
actually his body. It's that suspension of disbelief. You don't question it. You don't go, I don't really think that this blood or this wine that you just prayed over has turned into anything other than the same wine that it was before. You're not supposed to question any of that.
Right.
You just take it at face value and you go, okay. So, because people have been raised that way, now when somebody says like attracts like, much like a magnet, you go, oh, okay, yeah, that's right. Even though logically you know that magnets are attracted to the opposite.
Weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I do think that we came out of this conversation with uncertainty. Well, for me, I'm still not 100% on board with self-help books. However, I also understand that they can be of benefit. They can. They can. I mean, I'm not going to say no, but I also side eye it a little bit as well.
And
I'm
for
much
me,
professional when I prefer professional. I need professional. Oh, So we'll leave it at that.
You're admitting to needing professional help.
I do. And I know there's no one out there that would disagree. So,
So for me, who has read many, many self-help books and will probably continue to read them just because it's kind of like, dipping into the well. You have to keep on trying to take out something that's going to help. Yeah, I'll probably continue reading the self-help, maybe not as, I always read them the same way that I read anything, or approach religion, which is with a grain of salt and a lot of questions.
that's fair. And with that, thank you very much, my dear, dear friend. That was
You're
lovely.
very welcome. Thank you.
And we encourage our listeners, of course, to follow us, Spotify,
And
iHeart,
comment below.
YouTube. Comment, please. And if you have any questions, of course, you can write to us at the Connie and Steve at gmail.com. We love to hear from you. I mean, that goes without saying.
Yeah, we love reading the comments. We're reading the comments that are underneath the.
I haven't.
Oh, you haven't?
I hadn't. I hadn't
They're
had a
so
chance to.
good.
Oh,
They're
that's so
so good. I
nice.
love them.
I have to. Some of them I have read, and I'm like, oh, that's really sweet. It's
Yeah.
nice to see, but I haven't in a while.
Yeah.
But I still encourage people to write in and let us know what you're thinking.
Yes.
And that's what we think.
Yes, with Connie and Steve. And please find us on iHeartRadio, Apple Music, Amazon Music. Supposedly we're on YouTube Music, but I haven't been able to find us yet. But we're definitely on Spotify.
Yes, that's our home.
Yep, that's our home. And we'll continue to make these recordings and we'll hope to
entertain you. I think that's the word. I hope we continue to entertain you.
We hope we're entertaining.
We're not crazy. We're just entertaining you. That is what we're doing. All right, my friend. Have a good one. I will talk to you again very soon, my love.
I love you too. Bye.
Bye.